Finally,
so do you trust your elections? And do you trust the people who tell you that you should trust your elections? I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let's begin.
to reveal just how vulnerable our elections continue to be, we are releasing the results of a stunning investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review, state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that.
Well, that's good. Hold on, wait. That's not good? Oh, that's bad. I'm sorry. That's bad. I have a hard time thinking that there are people out there who can hear about potential fraud and go, how does that happen? How does that work? How they can be so blasé. Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's terrible. It's our elections. Now, I know there are people out there who don't vote. I've never quite understood those people. They truly believe that their vote doesn't matter. I think that that's awful. I think that's horrifying. And then you meet some of these people and you're like, I am so glad they don't vote. Then you meet other people and you're like, I can't believe they get the same vote I do. I love the country. I love that we've got this system because it is that maddening, and yet it works. But if we have people who are trying to not make it work, and then we have people blasé about those not making it work, or worse, claiming that you're wrong for noticing that they're trying to not make it work, well, I don't even know. I don't even know what we're supposed to do. I think this is why we have bourbon. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. 833-468-8669. 833. Got Tony. Glad to be here with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. The chat room is open there. You go to YouTube, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio, Rumble, Tony Katz, and of course, what's the other one? Twitter X. That's it, Tony Katz. The president had the primetime address. And in the primetime address, the president said a whole bunch, starting with the fact that he's going to declassify one bit of information after another regarding those who have been engaged in trying to do our elections wrong. And he then went about 27 minutes saying, here's what's going on. Here's what we've been dealing with. And it started with a real full-throated admonishment of China and what it is that they have done and may still be trying to do.
The Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. president and pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them. Charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world.
We know, sir. We know, sir. But that wasn't the subject. The subject was, what was China doing? And did we know China was doing it? Now, to that end, the answer is yes, because it had been previously reported. We go to the reporting of Catherine Herridge. Catherine Herridge, exclusive whistleblower, alleges 2020 CCP, Chinese Communist Party, election influence ops targeting Trump were suppressed. I'm sorry, what do you mean suppressed? And first of all, what influence hops? She was writing in April that sources say that a credible whistleblower complaint was filed alleging that the CIA, FBI, and other IC agencies, that's intelligence community agencies, suppressed intelligence about China's influence operations during the 2020 election, targeting President Trump and his campaign. Based on her reporting, she said, quote, China's goal was to impede President Trump's reelection and denigrate him as a candidate. The director of national intelligence, that was John Ratcliffe at the time, now the CIA director. Ratcliffe indicated on January 7th, 2021, days before leaving office, that the IC, the intelligence community, had downplayed and politicized its reporting on China's malign efforts concerning the 2020 election. Writing, as he did, in now an unclassified letter, in that same spirit, I am adding my voice in support of the stated minority view based on all available sources of intelligence with definitions consistently applied and reached independent of political considerations or undue pressure that the People's Republic of China sought to influence the 2020 U.S. federal elections and raising the need for the intelligence community to address the underlying issues with China reporting outlined above, meaning the previous letter. The president isn't just making some baseless allegation. This is in line with the reporting from Catherine Herridge. This is in line with the then director of national intelligence. China was interfering in our elections. Now, part of what the president said yesterday is not new to any of us. We have been believers that this is exactly what's been happening. That unquestionably, China or Russia or other actors have been working to interfere in our elections. I do not believe that we are indeed surprised by this. We may be surprised to learn that the CIA has evidence that Venezuela, under Maduro, was trying to mess with our
elections. And spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today, we are releasing documents that show the CIA obtained reporting of a specific plot to do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela. And that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020. And that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked.
I don't disagree, Mr. President. We do have to concern ourselves with how we protect our system. But how do you protect a system where the people, our people, allegedly our people in our government are working against you, working against us? In the presidential daily brief, you know, every day the president gets a daily brief, an intelligence community assessment. Here's what's going on. Here are the threats. Here's what have you. This is from June 25th, 2020. And in this briefing, there is a warning, a White House official, that Beijing had derogatory information on him in an effort to compel him to take a restrained approach to China. I'm not sure who it is. Could have been the president, could have been somebody else. I assume somebody else. China's attempt to use blackmail against the U.S. administration official revealed the information through social media. Now, a lot of this is redacted, so I'm giving it to you as it's read. We assess that this threat is credible. Lower-level Chinese officials have recommended collecting and using blackmail materials against perceived anti-China U.S. officials since at least January 2019. This is the most detailed and authoritative recommendation that we have seen. So that is the threat from without. The threat from within was members, we call it the deep state or call it whatever you like, members of the United States government, members of pick the agency who weren't sharing this information with the president of the United States. That there were those people like Peter Strzok, like Lisa Page, that wasn't isolated. It's been less than 24 hours of having this information. And what we are seeing is that the allegations made by the president last night, which, by the way, was a pretty long list. And if you were a rational person, you would have said, that's a long list. That's an ugly list. That's an issue. Show me the data. What did we say? If this was going to be a rehash of the 2020 election, you better have it cold. You better have everything. We said it just yesterday. Well, this was much bigger than a rehash about 2020. Much, much bigger. I'm going to get to that in a second. And the president declassified and provided the receipts. Members of our government working to not share full assessments with the president of the United States. This was the knock against Tulsi Gabbard as DNI, that because of her politics, maybe she will not give the president in that daily briefing the full summation of everything to try and skew him against certain actions and activities. This was the knock against her. It was my concern as well. This is what was happening. While Trump was president in the first term, not sharing the level of threat, trying to downplay what it was China was trying to do, not sharing the information, in their words, not my words, running a shadow government. So we can argue the threat from China. It's legitimate. We can argue the threat from Venezuela. Equally legitimate, though less of a threat now that Maduro is behind bars in the U.S. Sucks to be you, Nikki. Bus driver. But the threat comes from within. The threat comes from our own government, those working in the government. The threat comes in Michigan.
The fourth set of documents reveals that even when significant evidence of fraud has been detected, it has been buried and covered up. Among the disclosures tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned. They couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it.
Yeah. This is stuff to be concerned about. Now, we're going to get into the leftist response because within the leftist response, we get the story, but we're going to leave it to the side for the moment. I thought the president was going to talk about 2020, and I said, man, he better have it. This was a much bigger conversation. And this is a conversation you're going to have to take with you, and you're going to have to take to the dining room table, the kitchen table. You're going to have to take everywhere. What kind of country do we want? I can handle losing an election. And sometimes it really stinks to lose to people who don't believe in America at all. But this isn't that. This is people trying to undo the nation and trying to keep us from basically our Article 4, Section 4 protections that we are guaranteed a Republican form of government. This is a group of people who not only don't believe in America, who are actively working against it. And there is no reason why we don't think of this as treason. And there is no reason that after investigation and charges brought and guilty verdicts given that we aren't engaged in capital punishment. I am not a death penalty guy. But trying to destroy the country, treason, provable treason, well, what else am I supposed to do? You say to me, my gosh, Tony, you really went to the end there. I'm sorry. I don't think everybody quite understands what's going on here. I didn't say that there were allegations and immediately jump to, well, you know what that means. There are allegations and now there's data. More data than we've had before. I would argue that the vast majority of us, regardless of our side of the aisle, we assumed there were shenanigans. There was a whole bunch of nonsense going on. But now we know who's working against us. And not everybody's working against us. We know of these people working against us, both from outside the country and from within. The rational person is outraged. And the rational person wants these people to be held to account and the punishment to be severe. And it might not be to my level of severe, but at the very least, could someone go to jail? And the American left, they've got a different take. Their take is, And I'll explain why that is so dangerous coming up. I'm Tony Katz. This right here is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. An absolute pleasure, guys. Glad you are here. Thank you so much. Like, what is that? That shouldn't show like that. It's a t-shirt, right? I am a t-shirt guy. Like the t-shirt under the shirt. I don't know. It's just a comfort thing, I guess. It's a weird thing to talk about on the show. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and do all the things. Alex on X says, I don't trust the 2024 election at all after listening to Trump last night. Okay. Now show me the data. What we should do together, Alex, is that we should work on tightening up everything with the election, and we should have voter ID everywhere. And that way we can make sure it's just American citizens. And we should end mail-in balloting so nobody can manipulate that way. And we should put an end to all electric voting systems and go back to doing things by hand and counting them. That way we can ensure nobody's trying to get in on a cyber level. This is a great idea. You with me, Andrew? Or Alex? Or wait, is it Andrew or Alex? I don't know your name. It's Alex. Are you with me, Alex? Yes or no? Alex, it all seems sus. Are you with me? I don't care that you call it sus. That's not a talking point to me. Fine, you call it sus. By the way, you're so cool calling it sus. That's awesome, man. You're like the hippest ever. Why not just walk into a room and say, how do you do, fellow kids? The Among Us Among Us was only good, producer Landon, when you could smack talk. Then they took away the smack talking. Fred, it's always good to hear from you. Your politics are so awful, it's very hard to talk to you. Do you favor voter ID? Yes or no? Do you favor ending any threats to the election system? Yes or no? And if not, well, that's a problem, Fred. I hope you're doing well, man. The update out of Iran goes as follows. It's day 6. We're hitting them. They're hitting Kuwait and other countries. The story goes that they have killed at least 8 people in attacks on Kurdish allies in Iraq. Tony Katz today. A pleasure to be with you, everybody. In Kuwait, the story was, I was on Newsmax earlier. They hit a desalinization plant in Kuwait. Well, I thought the hitting of those kinds of things was the absolute no-no. It was Trump leading us to World War III. It was Trump engaging in violent attack. Remember when this was going to be World War III? Oh, those were good times. Hey, Tucker, how are you? I said on Newsmax, because I was asked the question, I said, I don't accept the idea that we would come this far only to come this far. That we know that Iran is a terrorist threat. We know that with a nuclear weapon, the region becomes impossible, no matter what the naysayers want to think, because they already make it difficult. Then again, these are the same people who tell you that Iran has never done anything to America. It's laughable. And in the end, I don't know why we would wait to hit the power plants. We have to end this regime. Let's go end it. Now, I am a believer it's going to take boots on the ground. I just never said they had to be American boots. We got to bring people in. We're going to do just that. Arming the Kurds is a good possibility. Wasn't that the plan that the Israelis wanted to do, that Vice President Vance put the kibosh on? But in the end, I believe that what we should do is end the regime. I still believe this. I haven't changed from this. You already know that about me. Iran is upping the ante in what they are hitting. I don't know where they think this is going to go unless they only have so many remaining missiles, drones, etc., and they're just lashing out in one final orgasmic gasp. I'm not sure. I don't have the answer on where they're at. I'm questioning where we're at. The president waiting until after the weekend to see if they're going to go at these power plants and these high-value targets. Why are we waiting? I don't even know why we have been waiting. Well, you didn't want to have to rebuild them. You want the regime over? You actually have to end them. This is Tony Katz today. No, you're not confused, Alex. You're just pretending. And it's cute. This is, I believe that the term for this is pseudo-intellectualism, right? If you want to argue that that somehow Biden never lost, and because Trump says Biden never won, all of it leads us to the following place. Why don't we clean it up? And this is the part we're going to get to, where the left wants to mock it as opposed to say, what can we do about it? Why are they so opposed to cleaning it up? Why are they opposed to the voter ID? Why are they opposed to getting rid of some of these systems that clearly can be compromised? Why have it? The only reason to have it is for the opportunity for fraud. The end. And I'm not about to pretend that these people are making any level of point. I'm not going to argue. They have no point except more damage. Tony Katz wants more dead people. That was actually the original line in the movie The Sixth Sense. But I said, hey, why don't we shorten that to I see dead people, and therefore it'd be easier for Haley to do. I mean, he's just a kid. And everyone thought it was a good idea. And Bruce was like, thumbs up. And then that's how they did it. So thank you for that. That's my contribution to film lore. So I don't know who Alex is, but Alex believes himself to be cute. In his head, he's got a world-class argument. And then it gets spoken about. And that's like, oh no, that's not going to work at all. Sad stuff. Very, very, very sad stuff. Gotta go. Not you guys. I'm saying he's gotta go. You just gotta do this better, man. You just gotta do it better. That's all. That is all. Just be better at it. Oh, people who believe in mail-in voting absolutely want fraud. 100%. It's insane. You want the opportunity. It's the weirdest stuff in the world, and it's so obvious, and you're so seen. We've got these eyes, and they are amazing. Check out my baby brown, shall you? We could see you. Also, haircut tomorrow. Look at that. That is nuts. I haven't trimmed the beard. I don't know. This isn't a bad look. It's just not. I think it could be a better look. Right there. Thank you very much. Let's see what we've got. Oh, I've got Mark Wayne Mullen. I've got Mark Wayne Mullen right here. We'll get to that. Oh, and I've got Parasite updates. So we've got an update on the parasite, the cyclosporiasis parasite. Oh, this is not going to be enjoyable at all. Tony Katz today, live streaming YouTube and Rumble, Tony Katz, Twitter and X, which is the same thing, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. Here's the story as we know it. Federal health officials, this according to CNBC, have identified that the parasite was found in lettuce from Mexico. So this parasite, it has an incubation period. It takes 2 to 14 days, 2 days to 2 weeks, and then it causes distress and gastrointestinal issues. And I believe the terminology was explosive diarrhea. What? I didn't say it was a good thing. I'm not a fan. I hate explosive diarrhea.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
I do. I absolutely positively do. I know. I went on such a limb for that one, too. The lettuce was found at Taco Bell in 5 states. And now we know why Taco Bell pulled some of its ingredients. Those 5 states? I wish I had a camera on producer Landon right now. The 5 states are West Virginia, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Indiana. We live in Indiana. And I'm pretty sure that producer Landon was at a Taco Bell over the weekend. Producer Landon, would you like to confirm or deny? You were at a Taco Bell on Tuesday night. So no lettuce for you. But you were at a Taco Bell. Were you sober? You were sober. Well, so that was a first-time experience for you. What was it like? I know it's not the same. Sober Taco Bell is never the same. That's what they all say. Oh, that is rough for Taco Bell. It's rough for Mexico. You can't even, that they were able to track it down is somewhat amazing because of the long what would you call it, gestation situation, how long it takes for this parasite to break out, if you will. People don't keep the records. They don't know where they had dinner yesterday. This was 2 weeks ago, and they're not sure. It could have been this, could have been that. So it took a long while to find this, to be able to track down a source. I am pretty impressed that they were able to do so. I do not believe I own Taco Bell stock, or I think it's Yum Brands. I don't even know if they have stock. I don't think anybody has to sell. I think this is something that is fixable. And I only hope that they do, and they do so quickly. Now, I think the bigger question is, why is Taco Bell getting lettuce from Mexico? Isn't that going to be the question? And now this is going to be the question asked to Chipotle and Qdoba and Moe's and all these places. You know what? Any place that serves lettuce, where do you get your lettuce from? Why are we buying Mexican lettuce? Have we bought all the U.S. lettuce? Why are we buying Mexican lettuce? That's the question. And there's going to need to be an answer for that. And there could very well be an answer for that. Absolutely. So that's the story with that. Don't eat the lettuce at Taco Bell. I'm assuming a lot of people aren't going to eat lettuce in a lot of places for a little while. That's usually what happens here. And then people will get back to it. But back to what the president talked about yesterday with the elections. You take a look at the idea of fraud. You take a look at the idea of China or Russia interfering. And remember, it was Democrats time and time and time again talking about Democrats interfering with the election. You take a look at the Mueller report. There was a conversation about Russia interfering with the elections. And what did we say? We said, okay, let's do something about it. At least we did here. And nothing came from it, because they weren't interested in actually doing something. They weren't interested in actually fixing it. They were interested in the story for the political purpose. And then how could they utilize it again for their power purpose? The only reason there would be a conversation about Russia and the elections is to say Trump tried to manipulate the election through Russia. Don't vote for Trump. That was it. It was never about our election processes. It should always be about that. I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to, engage a hilarious joke here. I believe we should end all mail-in voting. We can have absentee voting. I'm talking about this willy-nilly sending out of ballots. I believe that we should get rid of early voting. Voting should be one day. It should be a 24-hour process. And I'm not the guy who invented this. I think I'm cribbing Neil Bortz. Does anybody remember Neil? Oh, radio host out of Atlanta. Boortz. Neil Bortz was very, very good. Neil's still alive. Neil's still kicking. But I believe that was his show. And then Neil Bortz was replaced by Herman Cain. Just a little bit of radio trivia for everybody. Herman Cain was very nice. Herman Cain was lovely to me at all times. I really do appreciate that man quite a bit. Rest his soul. The election day should be one day, a full 24-hour period. And I go a step further. No election results can be announced until every state in the union has closed. So if we argue that election day starts at midnight, well, different parts of the country have different midnights. So we wait until midnight comes 24 hours later in Hawaii, and then we can start posting results. Boom, done. Everybody gets to count. None of this leaking information as it goes. Oh, we're ready to announce this state. Oh, it makes for great TV. Oh, lots of drama. I want safe and secure elections. I do not need the drama. This is how we should handle elections. No more electric voting booths. Count them by hand. Count them by hand. Let's do that. I believe in this safety. I believe in this security. And I believe that China needs to be dealt with forcefully if indeed they have been trying to interfere in our elections. Forcefully means we don't allow Chinese students on student visas to go to U.S. universities, Mr. President. You're wrong. We're right. Stop doing it, sir, and stop doing it now. No Chinese students in our universities. And if universities have to close, well, then they close. So be it. But Markwayne Mullin is the Secretary of Homeland Security. And as we heard, there were indeed investigations by Homeland Security regarding the election, including finding 278,000 registered voters who are non-citizens. In that situation, 278,000 non-citizens registered to vote. That is the clearest understanding that what we have isn't working, that we have a problem. And the rational mind says we should fix that problem immediately, if not sooner. That's not what the press did. What the press did was listen to President Trump's speech yesterday. The announcement that there would be the release of these documents, declassified. And they didn't even wait for that to happen. They simply went to CNN and said, you know what? You asked me what I think of this speech. I'll tell you what I think of this speech.
One word response to one word review to President Trump's speech tonight.
I have two: delusional and dangerous.
Oh, dangerous. Stole mine.
Boring.
Boring. That's your reaction. And
they have not read a single declassified document, and they've already determined delusional, dangerous, and boring. Those are people who are not interested in free and fair elections. Those are people who are not interested in actually being journalists. They have zero curiosity. What they believe in is narrative, and what they believe in is winning. And if we actually are going to look at elections, if we're actually going to study, if we're actually going to make sure that they are safe and secure, well, then they might lose, because when you allow for cheating, some people might cheat. My argument has always been, is not that these things are guarantees of fraud. These things create the most opportunities for fraud. Why in the world would you keep the opportunities for fraud? This brings us to the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen.
And one of the greatest privileges I have is being Secretary of the Department of Homeland. And part of that is that we secure our elections. It surprised me when we first started getting in and digging into the elections. And this isn't about rehashing the 2020 election. This is just exposing what took place and to make sure it never happens again. And there's some really easy steps that can be taken to secure our elections. And it shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be something that every American, regardless if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're an independent, you're a libertarian, regardless if you live in a blue state or you live in a red state, everybody should know that their vote counts. And we have individuals that are voting that shouldn't be. It cancels out someone that should be. So I want to go through some things in a little bit more depth than what we were able to expose last night, because President Trump, he hit the highlights, and those should be scary for everybody. What we're going to do is dig in just a little bit deeper, and then we'll take some of your questions.
And we are going to get into that. I'm going to share that with you, what it is the Secretary is breaking down. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. I got some questions here. First things first, fraud without fraud is what? Interesting question. Fraud without fraud is opportunity. And everybody knows that you remove the opportunity for fraud. You know how I know this? You lock your front door. That's how I know it. That is why we have locks. It removes opportunity. Now, does it remove opportunity for everybody? Oh, no. Well, or maybe better said, some people will still try. But when the door is locked, most people just move on. They don't bother with it. When you leave the door unlocked, or in other cases, wide open, well, that creates opportunity. And I think we should eliminate that opportunity for fraud, don't you? Makes sense to me. Here's Patrick Mark Barter. Your government, my gosh, does something on every election. You still think America is a democracy. I think America is a republic, sir. And I'm so glad you're here. I don't know what it is you're referring to. Blanks on every election. Which elections are you referring to? Could you say it without, sounding like you're broken? That would be great. What is your opinion on exotic politics? I do not know what that is, except it might be the worst porn site ever. And of course, you can't go a day being named Katz without somebody saying, let's talk about AIPAC money. I think this guy asked earlier if I get paid by AIPAC. No, I am not, but I know who your mom gets paid by. It's more than one person. And none of them members of AIPAC. So good for you. Because nobody in AIPAC is touching that. Damn, son. I've never been to an AIPAC meeting. Just for clarity, I've just never gone. AIPAC is the enemy. Boogity, 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 boogity. It's ridiculous. Disagreement is one thing, but good Lord, it's embarrassing at this stage of the game. Oh, wait, do I keep messing with this guy? Or do I just leave it be? Do you, like one and done, right? Yeah. Okay, now he goes. Bye. That was fun. And this is my point. Did we do an audit on the election Donald Trump won or the elections? Go ahead. It's not an offense. Are we in this together or not, for the love of God? If we're in it together, we don't want any fraud in any election. What in the world? Why is this a Trump thing or a Biden thing or a Republican thing or a Democrat thing? That's the story. Yet everybody's doing it. They're desperate to do it. Insane. I'm sorry. I'm really trying to follow you, Patrick. What does your government do that everybody agrees is an improvement on the last regime? What regime? What are you referring to? That's my problem. I'm not following the start line of your, I'll call it an argument for lack of a better word. I'm not sure where you're going. I have said this about 2020, and I'll say it again. I can accept that Joe Biden was president of the United States and got elected. 81 million votes. Let's. Yeah, I think I've said enough. All right, we're coming back. Excellent. I don't know if Patrick lives in another universe, but maybe we've got a language barrier. I don't know. I'm just trying to follow along. Am I being too nice? I'm being naive, aren't I? He's trolling, and I'm just like trying to be of service. There it is.
So first of all, Department of Homeland Security, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in just 4 states. Mind you, we have 46 other states. And just 4 states, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in California and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada. We also worked with proactive states to identify 28,000 non-citizens on their voter rolls, plus 400,000 individuals that are still registered to vote that are deceased. Now, these 23 states, they proactively worked with us on the SAVE program. That's Georgia, Ohio, Tennessee, Texas, North Carolina, Idaho, Alabama, Missouri, Louisiana, Kansas, Arkansas, Wyoming, Montana, Iowa, Florida, South Dakota, Indiana, Arizona, South Carolina, Utah, Nebraska, Michigan, and my great home state of Oklahoma.
Can I tell you the craziest part of that is that he didn't do it in alphabetical order, and it freaked me out. Am I OCD and I didn't know it? That list does not make any sense. It should be in alphabetical order. I don't know, maybe by height, but that list didn't make any sense. Tony Katz, the way he read it made no sense. Tony Katz today. 400,000 dead people. Yeah, that's an issue. Being on the voter rolls is different than whether or not they voted, though, and I just want to make sure we've got that clear. But one of the things we're going to get into from this press conference from President Trump yesterday, the statement, and then these declassified documents about people trying to interfere in our election, is what we're going to do about it. I also want to share with you more from Secretary Rubio, because his speech about leftist violence and about the horrors of communism, and one of the great misnomers, it is tremendous, and it has to be heard. But we are not done with this conversation about elections. 250,000 non-citizens in 4 states. And then, of course, he's listing those states. That means other states are not working with the federal government. They are protecting people who shouldn't have the possibility of voting. I can't believe we're still arguing about something that's clearly so simple. This is Tony Katz today. And that's where it falls apart, Trader Timmy. Every single claim of election fraud that he mentioned has been debunked. No part of that is true. That is a lie. That's a lie. It's a non-statement. And so we're going to dismiss you for that. No, it has not been debunked and not thrown out of court. No, you're having a 2020 conversation, and that's what makes it so cheap, that you want to cheapen the entirety of the conversation, that you don't want to have it, that you are afraid to have it because you don't want to expose what could be happening or what can happen. Do we want the safest election system possible? Yes or no? The answer is yes. That involves only citizens being able to vote. That involves not allowing any opportunity for hackers to get into our system. Everything you just said doesn't change what the Chinese were doing, doesn't change how deep state people were tamping it down, doesn't change a thing. You don't have it. You want it because you want to assume you could just throw something out there on social media and be like, look at me, I'm so smart. I want to make sure that only citizens are voting. I want to make sure that we're protecting the election. Sometimes my candidate will win. Sometimes my candidate will lose. That's the way it goes. We're not discussing the candidate. We're discussing the actual vote. But nope, you don't want to do it. You want to assume everything is just hunky-dory. Trump won in 2024, and I don't think everything's hunky-dory. Can we at least look at all the information and make a determination? Could we at least ask for a voter ID? Could we at least not have willy-nilly mail-in ballots? Have I said anything that's so controversial? Good Lord. Anyway, I'm going to have some stuff from Marco Rubio coming up. It's so unbelievably good. I can't wait to share it with you. We're in radio break right now, so we're going to be in commercial break right here. Hang loose, smoke them if you got them. A lot of good stuff ahead. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Go tell your friends to join the live stream right now. Let's grow this thing up. Can't thank you enough. Would love the help. We've got another whole bunch of stuff coming. Keep it right here, guys. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz. Today, I do want to get into some of Marco Rubio's really incredible talk. Just spectacular. Because it's beyond spot on about violence and about just what it is we're up against. Well, show's coming back. Let's get to it. You have heard clips of Marco Rubio's speech, conversation of political terrorism and specifically violence on the political left. Tony Katz today, an absolute pleasure to be with you. Now, there's been a lot of really incredible back and forths that have been going on over the past couple days. You have got Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, who I don't always agree with. I think he has made some pretty great mistakes. He is talking to this pardon attorney who worked with Biden, and just going to town on this Elizabeth Oyer, Oyer, on the pardons that she was fine with under the Biden administration.
Grant clemency to all 40 federal death row inmates, all of them, clear them out, correct?
Sir, as I told Chairman Grassley, I'm not free to discuss the recommendations.
Well, that's what your memo
made,
says.
President.
I mean, we have your memo. Your memo of November 4th, 2024 says, and I quote, disparity and undue severity of sentence, which are present in many, if not all of these cases, have been recognized as grounds for clemency. And you went on to recommend in that memo and a series of other memos that are now recorded and public record that the President of the United States grant clemency to murderers, rapists, and the most horrible offenders, all of them, clear death row completely out. I'm amazed you've been called here today. I'm absolutely amazed by it. But let's just talk about the people who you recommended. You talk about honoring victims. The people who you recommended get clemency and live at the expense and sufferance of taxpayers for the rest of their lives. Let's start with Dylan Roof. Dylan was a neo-Nazi who murdered 9 African-American worshipers at a Bible study in Charleston, South Carolina, 2015. Do you remember this case?
I do remember it very well.
I would hope you did. Here's his victims. You want to look at them? There they are. 9 of them at a Bible study in a church, killed in cold blood. The DOJ knew from day one that he had decided, I'm going to quote from the prosecutors, decided to attack African Americans because of their race. He further decided to attack African American worshipers in a black church in order to make his attack more notorious. More notorious. And yet you recommended that he be granted clemency, live at the expense of taxpayers for the rest of his life, substitute your judgment for that of the American judicial system. Do you stand by that recommendation today?
Sir, I'm not going to comment on the recommendations that I made, but I can tell you that Mr. Roof is going to die in prison as...
Oh, he's going to live in prison for a very long time because of you, because of your recommendations. And
Now, the conversation here is not one about the death penalty, but rather a conversation about whether or not we have a society that believes that people should be punished. Because what we have seen from the left, and this is where the story is, what we have seen is that there is not a belief in this. There is not a belief in the idea of the punishment. Rather, the punishment should only exist when the crime doesn't have some other type of opportunity. It's kind of vague statement, Tony. What do you mean? We have seen on the political left that their view is that when you do it, It is a horrifying, shameful, despicable act, no matter what it is you do. When somebody else does it, well, it needs to be understood. We need context. This will take us to Tim Walz. Is there any question that Governor Tim Walz is a horrifyingly despicable person? Here is this guy, Tole Vong. He is the rapist, raping children, same child repeatedly. And yet it was Tim Walz who decided on a board with Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, to pardon him in an effort to keep him from being deported because he was in the country illegally. When he was asked about it, this was the reporting from a local Minnesota station. Here is what he said.
While speaking to the news media today, the governor was asked about the 42-year-old father's recent deportation.
Did that make us any safer? Did that make the children that are left behind any more stable? Did it improve the idea that we can't all be judged by our worst day?
While speaking to the news media today, the governor...
Worst day. Raped a 10-year-old repeatedly. Worst day. In both of these conversations, what you have is a willingness and a desire to play down the horror of what happened and what took place. In the case of Dylan Roof, it is certainly peculiar that they would have wanted to do that. But it goes along with a whole line of things that they were going to do. When COVID was here, if you went to see your grandma, you were a murderer. But if 5,000 people wanted to riot in the streets because of racial whatever, that was fine. You couldn't say goodbye to your dying wife of 60 years because of COVID. But if you're a member of Black Lives Matter, 3,000 people could gather without masks because we have to fight structural racism. That's what the left said. That's what they did. That's how they acted. In both of these situations, we are actually discussing the concept of leftist violence, the ever-growing issue of leftist violence. What the political left will tell you is that it's the political right that is violent because look at everything we see. Look at the white supremacy and the this and the that and the other. The white supremacist usually hates me. The KKK member usually hates me. I'm not on their Christmas card list. Oddly enough, I'm also not on their Hanukkah card list. They usually are not fans of mine. But as Marco Rubio so well pointed out, this is what is the trained methodology, not the reality. That when you see this, understand that you are being played. This brings us back to Marco Rubio and to one of the better speeches you will hear as the Secretary of State reminds people why he will be the front runner for president. No, wait, I take that back. Why he should be the front runner for president, or could be. You know, it'll still be J.D. Vance, who did himself no favors this week. Absolutely none. The peace deal with Iran can't work because of those Israelis. Boo-boo, what are you doing? Peace deal with Iran can't work because you can't negotiate with Islamist terrorists. But I'm sorry you haven't figured that out yet, Mr. Vice President. One day, but it isn't today. You are naive on the world stage. In other ways, you are so unbelievably good. It is so respectable. And then you screw the pooch on this like no one else. But it's Secretary Rubio giving this speech about the resurgence of political terrorism that is just so on target.
This is a distinctive and unique evil It has always been driven by a hatred, above all else, a hatred for civilization itself. It is a revolt of the worst against the best, a revolt of the weak and the cowardly against the strong and the good. It is perpetrated by those who cannot build, who cannot create, who cannot achieve great things, and take their revenge upon the world for their own inadequacy by seeking to destroy those who can. This is what radical leftism is. It may wear various different slogans and ideologies across place and time. They can call themselves anti-capitalist or anti-imperialist or communist or anarchist or Marxist, but the fundamental character is always the same. It's always the same. It is a poisonous resentment cloaked in the language of equality and justice, and liberation, an overwhelming need to tear down what greater men have built, to wreck what is beautiful and what is right on behalf of people who are only filled with ugliness and have nothing else to offer the world. Through violence and through terror, they once again seek to impose their ugliness on all of us. The old dogma was wrong. The old dogma was wrong. None of this is driven by idealism. It is not utopian. In fact, it is the opposite. One of the criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul. The world it envisions is a world without courage, a world without creativity or ambition, a world without heroes or glory or great causes to strive towards, without a world without miracles, without myths, without men who rise above the rest to do incredible and extraordinary things. And the world communism envisions is a world without God. For these architects of revolutionary violence, the towering achievement of our civilization, for them, it's an unbearable humiliation, a reminder of what they cannot do, and a reminder of what they cannot be. So they choose instead to destroy. They attack pipelines, they attack railroads, they attack power grids and laboratories, the physical embodied symbols of power and invention and achievement. This is the nature of the terrorism we face today. They despise the West because the West is great.
Accurate. And for those of you saying that sounds like a presidential speech, let me say for the record, I think that's exactly what it was. This is how you announce you're running for president without announcing you're running for president, by engaging in a subject that the president himself has been discussing. And while J.D. Vance is floundering on questions about those dang Israelis, here's Marco Rubio talking about who should own the future and why certain ideologies should be rejected. It's good. It's really, really, really good. It's also incredibly true. Because not only is he discussing communism here, he's discussing where this violence comes from. And what they want you to believe. What they want you to believe is that the violence only comes one way. And that, of course, is not true. The violence comes in all the ways. When we take just going over some of the things we've been talking about right now. How about, did you catch the woman? I played this yesterday. This is the woman standing there with Azar Mamdani, and she's wearing the mask, and she looks ridiculous, and she's talking about the violence of evictions. Did you catch this? Oh, where is that video? I thought I had it. The violence of evictions, lady. This is a great example of where the left is, and in all the ways they play the violence, because some of it is not as overt as you would think. She's standing there and she's saying that we have to do away with evictions because evictions are violent. This is playing into the place of rent control. First of all, rent control doesn't work. Argentina proved this. Milei took power, got rid of the rent control, and housing prices went down like a stone. And then things became available again for rent. It ended a massive housing crisis. They may still have housing issues, but it ended a massive housing crisis in Argentina. Rent control says to a landlord, you don't get any more money, but you still have to take care of all the upkeep, no matter how much the prices go up. And therefore, you're no longer able to engage the upkeep of your properties. So we, the state, take it. It's about ending private property rights, which is indeed outrageously violent. And now here is this woman wearing this hat, and she's got the mayor behind her, and she's got a mask on. I mean, the scene is just ridiculous, I tell you. Listen.
Our city is turning the corner on tenant power. When we organize, we win results. The Mamdani administration is emboldening us so that we no longer tolerate the violence of evictions as a matter of business as usual. My landlord owns dozens of buildings, but he is not a steward of the public trust.
If a eviction is violence, well, then violence is wrong. And if violence is wrong, you can't evict anybody. So it doesn't matter if they pay their rent or not, which is them saying you shouldn't be allowed to own private property. They want to, by force, take away private property and end private property rights. Without private property rights, you are indeed a slave. So when we talk about violence, it isn't just terrorizing people on the streets. It isn't excusing the murder of Irina Zarutska. It's all of it. And the Secretary of State is addressing it very, very well. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Should I even bother going through the madness of some of these comments? Oh no, we got rid of the mad people. Well, I mean, were you tossed out the 5th floor window? Were you tossed down a couple flights of steps? If the answer is no, then it was not a violent eviction. That is at least a definition, Jim. I will give you that. I concede that is a definition. Remember, these are also the same people who will tell you silence is violence, right? If you say something, well, that's violence. But if you're silent, that's also violent. So once they get into the evictions are violence, what do they get into next? Rent is violence. Everything leads to give me free. My father, rest his soul, was not an easy man to deal with, but he had some gems. And he could see around a corner on a bunch of things really well. And one of the things that he said as he watched protests happen and happen and happen, he said, Tony, eventually you will get to the day where someone is holding a sign that reads, give me something. That was accurate. Let's get back to the show. Prince Harry taking it on the chin. And when I first read the story, I said, why is in the world, for all the things that Harry has done, it used to be that Meghan Markle was on the top of that list. That has fallen precipitously. Tony Katz today, an absolute pleasure to be with you. Live streaming YouTube and Rumble, Tony Katz on Twitter, also known as X, Tony Katz, and Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. Come join us and be a part of the show and hit like and subscribe and do all the really cool things. One of the things Prince Harry did was to create the Invictus Games. And this was I'll give it a very general Olympics for veterans. It was a very cool idea and really popular. And so he was in the UK. Actually, I think saw his dad. I don't think he saw his brother. And he has done this to himself with the book called Spare and with the attitude and the leaving the family and all the rest. He has created his own issues for himself. And Meghan Markle has been terrible for him and terrible, I would argue, to him and certainly to herself. Madness, as anybody on the outside would look at it. But they're now asking him not to be a part of the Invictus Games. And I said, that's weird. Why in the world? Why in the world would you take it out on him? And the answer is because he's brought a lot of this anger on himself, where people involved with the Invictus Games are like, you need to stay away. And they might have a point. This is Tony Katz today. Talking about how there's threats against him and people are trying to come at him and they're trying to go at the games. It is really a, you could think of it as everybody's angry and everybody's upset, but what have you done to yourself? What have you brought upon yourself to make people say, we don't know if we want to be connected with you? That's a horrible thing to think. He created this thing and now people are like, nah. That's rough. Very, very rough. Josh wants to know what we're doing here. Am I MAGA, independent? I know you're not liberal. Well, first of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kid. No, that's taken. Tony Katz, a conservative, honest, clear, cigar smoker, bourbon drinker. Get your steaks at defiancebeef.com. Use promo code EatDrinkSmoke to get free shipping and a free mini share. Also the host of the nationally syndicated Eat, Drink, Smoke, the cigar and bourbon show you should be listening to. Hopefully we're entertaining. Hopefully we're bringing some clarity to things. Very honest. Things about Trump I like. Things about Trump I don't like. Border like. Tariffs don't like. There's an example right there. Taking out the Iranian regime and ending terrorists like. Just sitting around thinking that a deal can be made don't like. There. That is it. Also, brisket like, ribeyes like, chuck eyes like. If you've never had a chuck eye steak, oh my gosh. So good. So good. It exists between the chuck and the ribeye. And it's smaller and it's just marbled. It was unbelievable. It's not all the beef flavor. I think of a ribeye. Maybe it was just this one. I've got to play with it some more. But it was delicious and it rendered well. It was. I made a couple and I didn't finish mine. I wasn't that hungry at the moment. And then my kid ate mine and then ate his. And I said, this is not right. And he said, well, you raised me. And I said, checkmate. Checkmate. There was leftover steak. You're allowed to eat that. Those are the rules. Anyway, that's who I am. That's who I am. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoy the show. Wasn't bad. Oh, I've got three more things. I've got three more things to get to there, producer Landon. That. I've got that. I've got and then poor Senator Gallego. Well, really, poor the women he may have sexually abused. And I've got this. Oh, I've got so much. I've got so much. Good Lord. And I haven't checked. Is there any news breaking right now? I'm expecting to hear about another hit on Iran. I don't know why I wouldn't. It seems like every couple hours we get another conversation from CENTCOM, another statement from CENTCOM. Three more things, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. What are three more things? These are stories that should be front page news, but because of everything that is front page news, these don't make it to the front pages. Brought to you by Incogni. I'll get to that in a moment. Let's start with story number one, which is Neville Roy Singham, who you have heard a rumor of or word of. This, I didn't realize he was married to one of the Code Pink communists. He himself, a socialist, if not communist, guy who hangs out in China quite a bit. And he is now being investigated. A grand jury, Southern District of New York, this according to CBS News. The investigation began by looking into possible violations of FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act. Now, I'm an absolute believer in this. If you are representing a foreign country, that is allowed. That is not specifically a bad thing. But you have to tell people you're doing it. You don't get to engage in activities where you're advocating for a cause, advocating for a country, and then literally paid for by that country, and then not let people know that you're doing it. Well, Tony, what about AIPAC? It's always about AIPAC. American citizens are allowed to have a view on any cause they want, and they're allowed to put their money wherever they want because they are not foreigners and they are not being paid by that nation. That's a very easy thing to understand. If I donate to a cause, that's me donating to a cause. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, we want you to talk about this product, I give full disclosure of that. Now in radio, that's plugola and payola. And this goes back to the days of DJs when you would pay to have your record played. Oh yeah. So plugola and payola. You're paid to do something, or you plug something that you have a financial connection to. It's funny, I came to Indianapolis 12 years ago. Been here for 12 years on the air. And of all the things that you go through, when you do that initial paperwork, you got to watch this silly video and this thing and do it. All of it, everybody rolled their eyes at. Everybody rolled their eyes at. When the plugola and the payola paperwork came up, right? You're going through some kind of book, whatever it is. All that stopped. Read this. Don't ever screw it up. This you'll get fired for. It was obvious that this was stuff that was just going to be damaging to the brand of the radio station and to syndication networks, et cetera. Nope. You got to be very, very clear. If I've got a financial connection to something, I say it. And I think that that's fine. If I'm advocating for something because I'm advocating for something, I don't have to do anything. I can advocate for whatever I want. I'm an American citizen. Someone doesn't like it, they can suck it. Who cares? I'm paying any attention to them. If Neville Singham, who has supported a lot of progressive communist causes, if he's out there acting on behalf of China through dollars from China, living in China, that has to be addressed. So that's how it started. This is expanded into a criminal tax probe over whether money was unlawfully funneled through nonprofits he controlled and whether he lied on tax forms for those nonprofits. Okay. Well, that's a thing right there. He's got nonprofits, think tanks, hundreds of millions of dollars, and he does this out of Shanghai. He moved to Shanghai. That's one heck of a guy. Also married to Code Pink. Yeah, I'm going to go with communist. 17 states, no, I'm sorry, that number is up to, I think, 23 states now have air quality alert issues. This because of the Canadian wildfires. That's a thing. This is getting pretty dang serious. Now, there was a question about whether or not this was going to have an effect on the World Cup, the finals, which will take place in New Jersey. I still call it the Meadowlands. I do. It is. It's the Meadowlands. It's a giant stadium. They're not moving it. They don't have to move it. It is supposed to rain over the weekend, and that is going to clear out a lot of the air. When we ask, why are there so many wildfires every summer now? Wildfires. That's a hard one to say 3 times fast. Most people on the left will scream global warming. Yeah, that's not it. I'd like to know what it is. Is there something that Canada doesn't do? Is there some natural pattern? I don't recall smoke from Canadian wildfires in years past. So I don't know why this is taking place. But I will say this. You might see people in photos of the East Coast wearing masks. The mask is a symbol of fear and shame. That's what COVID has done. There are people usually associated with the Democratic Socialists of America because they're just not strong enough to call themselves communists. They're also not strong enough to lift a gallon of milk. And they wear a mask, and they are weak and scared people. There are people who still think COVID is going to get them and still wear a mask, and I feel awful for those people. Oh, they will be roundly mocked, but I do. To live in fear is no way to live. But if you are somebody with a respiratory issue and there's a lot of smoke in the air, you'd wear a mask. So, just for when we see these things, a little bit of grace, those northern states, a little bit. You could see it making sense. If somebody has asthma, somebody has some other issue, wearing a mask is not the dumbest thing in the world. Because there are going to be a lot of people. Look at all these people wearing masks. Look how ridiculous. Oh my gosh, they think COVID's coming back. There's a reason. Let's be normal. If they still wear the mask when everything clears out, then we can mock. Very happy to see that the White House is bringing back ICE vehicle stops. They said they were going to stop doing this. They said they were going to stop doing this because people have been shot and they've been killed, and we can't stop vehicles now. Creates too much of a problem. No. We have to remove illegal immigrants from the United States. We have laws on the books, and the laws need to be followed. So, keep at it. Keep at it. And for the people who think they could run over cops, it's going to work out bad for you. And for people who think that they could just run from ICE agents, it's probably going to be bad for you. And for the people who want to get in the way and engage in acts of violence because somehow they think that they're righteous, yeah, that's certainly not going to work out well for you. If you want to change the laws, go right ahead. I'm not stopping you. I'm not in your way. Call your member of Congress and do your thing. What you are I said I got to stop that. What they are advocating for. What they are advocating for is that we don't pay attention to the laws on the books because they don't like those laws. If we are a society that can pick and choose what laws we pay attention to, we call that the purge. It does not work out well. That is not going to be fun. ICE needs to do its job. Now, if there's an argument about whether or not ICE can do a better job, well, that's about tactics. Yeah, I'm cool for that. Yeah. We can do this better? Well, I'm all in on better. I absolutely am down for making it better. Not following the law, not implementing the law, that doesn't make anything better. Then there's Ruben Gallego. For everybody out there, how about this? Just for the next little while, if you're an elected official, could you not bang a staffer? Would it be too much to ask if you're an elected official, you spent your time working at your desk, not working on your desk? Is that producer Landon? Am I making myself clear? You understand? You're picking up what I'm laying down. Yeah, and if you're an elected official, just don't lay down on anyone. If you would, Senator Ruben Gallego had sexual relationships with 2 House staffers. This, according to the New York Post. Now, what makes this interesting is that Gallego was a member of Congress with Swalwell, and they were buddies. Oh, they were pals. They were the alpha males. And there's a picture of those two. I think they're in Egypt or something, and they're both shirtless riding camels. And when I saw that photo, I said, and I quote, "Ew, David." That's what came to mind. And people said, oh, he knew about Eric Swalwell. He palled around with Eric Swalwell. He knew all the stories about Swalwell. Wait till his stories come out. Gallego has admitted to the 2 relationships, both with aides to Texas Democrats. To one person, while a second person said they learned recently of the romantic entanglements. Now, the relationship was part of a broader pattern of mistakes and missteps and judgment calls. Is that right? I have no issue with somebody being involved in a relationship while they work. It's fine. But if they are staffers, one has to ask whether or not the Me Too people are going to say something. This was the argument in defense of Plattner. It wasn't a Me Too moment, so therefore everything's fine. Well, defend this. Or do we want to say it's not weird that people would hook up with people they work with because after all, those are the people they work with? That's not a weird thing. I mean, if somebody wants to defend him, they're more than welcome to. What I think is you need to defend yourself because there are thousands of places on the internet that have a file with your name on it. It's got your home address, it's got your cell phone number, email address. There's so much more medical conditions. How about your age? Your voting status? Yup. Kids' names. Your kids' names. You can't read that file, but anyone with a credit card can buy it. That file is a product of a multi-billion-dollar industry called data brokers. And your file is collected, packaged, and sold legally. Every scam call, every phishing text, they know the ones that know way too much about you. Someone paid for your file. Last year, Americans lost a record $20 billion plus to fraud. The scammers didn't get lucky, guys. They got prepared. I did something about my file. I use Incogni, INCOGNI. Incogni.com/cats goes broker by broker and forces each one of them to delete your file. The opt-out forms they bury, Incogni finds them. And when your data, they try to creep back, Incogni wipes it again. Go to Incogni.com/cats right now for 60% off. That's 60% off using my last name, Katz, K-A-T-Z. Take your private life off the market. Incogni.com/cats. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Good to be with you. Yeah, there was a nice hit of rain in central Indiana just now. That was very, very large scale. But it went quick. It went very, very quick. Or at least it did here. Let's see. Where was that? Yep. Oh man, I had the story and then I lost it. All right, I'm sorry, guys. I was just looking for something. The aggressive nature by which the left is trying to downplay President Trump's statements yesterday. Really unbelievable. Tony Katz today, except not unbelievable, absolutely normal. Here is an issue we're having with elections, and here's all the data of what China was trying to do and what Americans were trying to do because they were more interested in power than they were in the people. And the left saying, this is just boring. Oh, we knew all of this already. What do you say, Catherine Herridge?
It's a very significant announcement, not only what he said, but the fact that they are releasing these documents so that we can really fact check the claims we heard this evening. I've been digging into the documents already, and I found this November 2020 email. And it specifically states, it's a conversation among intelligence officials. It specifically states that they have, quote, deliberately massaged one of our pending PDBs, that's the president's daily brief, to avoid any direct links to the election. And that is.
And if people you know in your life are okay with that, that staffers or high-ranking people were preventing information from getting to the president about possible infiltration and abuse of our election system, if that's okay by them, what is it that they actually believe in? What do they favor? How are they the same kind of Americans as we are? Free and fair elections mean free and fair elections for everybody. And what they're saying is they don't actually care about free and fair elections. They care solely and exclusively about power. It's if they don't care, one should ask what they do care about. We'll have more on this. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. You guys are pretty fantastic. Appreciate you quite a bit. Good people. Wait, what is this? Yes. Got it. Perfect. Guys, I can't thank you enough for being here. All the likes and the follows and the this and the that. Every Monday through Friday, we are here. We are building this thing up. Thank you guys for being a part of it. Really do appreciate it. Have the weekend, man. Enjoy. It's going to be hopefully worthwhile. I don't know what everybody's doing. Me, a pastrami. It is on day 5 of its brine. It's good. Now, I should do a 7-day brine. Some people do a 10-day, which I think is interesting. I'm doing 6 because I'm not so sure about the spice mix of this one. This is my first one, but doing a pastrami. And so I want to get it out and I want to give it some time to dry. So there's a whole theory about in a brisket, right, which is really what you're dealing with here to make a pastrami. There's this massive bit of fat that goes through it, and it can be very hard. It's called the decal, right? It goes through the point there. It's called the decal, and I'm a believer in carving out much of it, trimming out much of it before I smoke it. Some people yes, some people no, and I think the answer is yes there. When you've soaked the brisket for so long, right? Because it's totally submerged in water and these spices and pickling salt, etc. You leave it in the fridge, nothing on it, no covering or anything else, to get something called a pellicle, Pellicle. And what it basically, the best way to describe it is it's a puckering of the fat or the meat around it because of this brining that you've done. And then with that there, when you do the rub before you smoke it, right? If you weren't going to smoke it, you'd boil it and then it'd be corned beef. It sticks better. So that's the philosophy, that you kind of leave it out to air dry. You pat it dry as well as you can. First, you got to rinse it clean. You got to rinse all that salty water off there. And then you pat it as dry as you can, getting moisture out, and then you leave it to dry to get more moisture to naturally come out of it. But you create this pellicle, and then you're able to do the rub, and it sticks to that. I want to try that. I want to see if that actually does show, if I notice anything. Personally, I don't believe it in the slightest. Like, just as an outsider looking in on pastrami, I've had much pastrami. It's the first one I'm ever making. I don't believe that's a thing. No. It doesn't make it. You should be able to just season it with that, without that. Doesn't matter. I want to see if it actually happens. I want to see if it sticks, if it becomes more in depth, if you will, and therefore leads to a better flavor overall. So I think only 6 days. I think I'll pull it tomorrow and then let it dry. And then on the smoker, it will go. And it will be glorious. And this is only like a 5.5 pounder. So 6 hours? 6 hours at the most. And I'm going to go with a lower temperature just to keep an eye on it. Cannot wait. So Sunday night, pastrami sandwiches, my place. You in? No? Okay. Maybe next time. Maybe not. Did I not wait for your answers? I apologize. I appreciate you guys so very much. I will catch you on Monday. Thank you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really. Thanks, guys. Take care.